Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UES Defiance as the ship moved through deep space. The exploration vessel had been on patrol for 3 months now, searching for new planets that humans could call home. Jake rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the stars through the main window. Space was beautiful but lonely. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Communications officer Lisa Rodriguez worked at her station, listening for any signals from other ships or distant worlds. Chief Engineer Ben Carter was checking the ship's systems from his position near the back of the bridge. Security Chief Amanda Walsh stood near the tactical display, watching for any signs of danger. Jake had been a captain for 5 years now. He loved his job but sometimes missed Earth. The blue oceans and green forests seemed like a dream when you spent months looking at empty space. His crew was good, though. They trusted each other, and that made all the difference out here. Lisa suddenly sat up straight at her station. Her hands moved quickly over the controls as she adjusted her headset. Jake could tell something was wrong by the look on her face. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," Lisa said. Her voice was excited but worried. "It looks like a distress signal." Jake stood up and walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" Lisa pressed some buttons and the sound came through the speakers. It was broken and full of static, but Jake could hear a human voice calling for help. The words were hard to understand, but it sounded like someone was in trouble. "Can you clean it up?" Jake asked. Lisa worked on the signal for several minutes. Slowly, the voice became clearer. Jake felt his heart beat faster when he heard the words. "This is the UES Horizon. We are stranded on planet Kepler 442c. Our engines are damaged and we cannot leave. There are survivors, but we need help. Please respond if anyone can hear this message." Jake knew that name. The UES Horizon was a colony ship that had left Earth 3 years ago with 500 people. They were going to start a new settlement on a distant planet. But the ship had disappeared and no one knew what happened to it. Ben Carter walked over from his station. He looked worried. "Captain, something doesn't feel right about this. The Horizon went missing in a completely different sector. How did they get all the way out here?" Dr. Simon Hayes, the ship's medical officer, came onto the bridge. He had heard the signal too. If there really are survivors, they need our help. 3 years is a long time to be stranded. Jake looked at the star charts on the main screen. The signal was coming from a system about 2 days away. It was far from any known shipping routes, and the planets there had never been explored by humans. "Lisa, can you get any more information from the signal?" Jake asked. Lisa worked at her controls again. "I'm getting some data about the planet. It looks like it has breathable air and normal gravity. The temperature seems good for humans, too." Navigation specialist Tyler Brooks spoke up from his station. "Captain, I can plot a course to that system, but it will take us into unexplored space. We don't know what's out there." Science Officer Kelly Davis was studying the sensor readings. She frowned as she looked at the data. "There's something odd about this planet. The energy readings don't match what I would expect from a normal world." Ben crossed his arms. "I still think this is strange. How did the Horizon travel so far from their planned route? And why are we just getting this signal now?" Jake understood Ben's concerns. The engineer was careful and smart. He didn't trust things that seemed too good to be true. But Jake also knew that if there were really human survivors out there, they had to help. "What if it's a trap?" Amanda asked. The security chief always thought about danger first. "Pirates sometimes use fake distress signals to lure ships into ambushes." Jake nodded. "That's possible. But we can't ignore the chance that real people need our help." The bridge was quiet for a moment as everyone thought about what to do. Jake looked at each of his crew members. These people had been with him through many dangerous situations. He trusted their judgment. "Kelly, what else can you tell me about this planet?" Jake asked. Kelly studied her readings again. "It's unusual, Captain. The planet seems almost perfect for human life. The atmosphere is clean, there's plenty of water, and the climate looks mild. It's exactly the kind of world that colonists would want to settle on." "Maybe that's why the Horizon went there," Tyler suggested. "They could have changed course when they found this planet." Ben shook his head. "Colony ships don't just change course without telling Earth. They follow strict flight plans." Lisa adjusted her headset again. "Captain, I'm getting more of the signal now. It sounds like they've been trying to repair their ship, but they need parts they don't have." Jake made his decision. "Set course for the planet. But we go in carefully. I want all sensors active and weapons ready." Ben looked unhappy but nodded. I'll make sure the ship is ready for anything. Amanda walked back to her station. I'll prepare the security teams. If this is a trap, we'll be ready for it. As the Defiance changed course toward the unknown system, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The whole situation felt too convenient. A lost colony ship calling for help from the perfect planet in unexplored space. But he also couldn't ignore the possibility that real people were waiting for rescue. 2 days later, the Defiance arrived at the edge of the system. Jake stood on the bridge as they approached the planet. It looked beautiful on the main screen. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents. It really did look like the perfect world for humans. I'm detecting the horizon on the surface, Tyler reported. The ship appears to be intact. Kelly was studying her sensors carefully. Captain, there's something strange about this planet. There's an energy field around it that I've never seen before. It's not harmful, but it's definitely not natural. Ben looked at his engineering displays. That energy field is actually helping our systems run better. Our engines are more efficient and our sensors are clearer. Jake felt more worried. That doesn't sound natural at all. Lisa was listening to the communications. I'm getting signals from the surface. It sounds like the survivors are excited that we're here. Jake looked at the planet again. Everything about this situation felt wrong, but he couldn't abandon people who might need help. He just hoped they weren't flying into a trap that would cost them all their lives. The Defiance landed on the planet's surface near the crashed horizon. Jake led a team down to explore while the rest of the crew stayed with the ship. Amanda walked beside him with her weapon ready. Dr. Hayes carried his medical equipment in case they found injured people. Ben and Kelly came along to check the crashed ship's systems. The air on the planet smelled fresh and clean. Birds sang in the nearby trees and a gentle breeze blew across the grass. It felt like paradise, but Jake remembered Kelly's warnings about the strange energy field. Something was not right here. The horizon sat in a clearing about half a mile from where they landed. The ship looked undamaged from the outside. There were no burn marks or broken pieces. It looked like it had made a perfect landing instead of crashing. This doesn't look like a crash, Amanda said as they got closer. It looks like they landed on purpose. Ben was scanning the ship with his equipment. The engines are completely shut down, but they don't look broken. I think they could work if someone turned them back on. They walked around the horizon looking for signs of the survivors. Jake called out, but no one answered. The ship's doors were open and they could see inside. Everything looked neat and organized. There were no signs of panic or emergency. Where is everyone? Dr. Hayes asked. The signal said there were survivors here. Kelly was studying her scanner. I'm getting some strange readings from underground. There are tunnels beneath us. Jake looked at the ground. Now that Kelly mentioned it, he could see a hidden entrance near some rocks. The opening was just the right size for humans to walk through. Metal steps led down into darkness. Should we go down there? Amanda asked. She didn't like the idea of going underground where they could be trapped. Jake made the decision. We need to find those people, but we stay together and we're ready to leave quickly if something goes wrong. They climbed down the metal steps into the tunnels. The walls were smooth and made of some kind of metal that Jake had never seen before. Lights turned on automatically as they walked. The tunnels were exactly the right height for humans to walk comfortably. This is definitely not human technology, Ben said as he studied the walls, but it's made for humans to use. They followed the main tunnel for about 10 minutes. It led to a large underground chamber filled with amazing technology. Computers and machines covered the walls. Everything was clean and new-looking. In the center of the room, a group of humans stood waiting for them. Jake recognized the leader immediately. It was Peter Graham, the captain of the Horizon. He looked healthy and well-fed. The other colonists looked good too. They were smiling and seemed happy to see the rescue team. Captain Morrison, Peter said in a calm voice, we're so glad you received our signal. Jake shook Peter's hand. Something felt strange about the way Peter talked. His voice was flat and emotionless. Are you all right? We've been looking for your ship for 3 years. We're fine, Peter replied. Better than fine, actually. We've made contact with the beings who live on this planet. They've been very helpful. Dr. Hayes was looking at the colonists with concern. You all look healthy, but I'd like to do some medical checks. 3 years is a long time to be stranded. That won't be necessary, Peter said. Our new friends have taken very good care of us. As Peter spoke, tall figures emerged from the shadows at the back of the chamber. Jake's heart jumped when he saw them. They were 7 feet tall and seemed to be made of crystal. Light moved through their bodies like water. They had no faces that Jake could see, but somehow he knew they were watching him. "These are the Zephyrians," Peter explained. "They are the guardians of this planet. They've been protecting us and sharing their knowledge." One of the crystal beings stepped forward. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Welcome, humans from Earth. We have been expecting you." Jake tried to stay calm, but his hand moved closer to his weapon. "Expecting us?" "We received your friend's distress signal," the Zephyrian said. "We knew others would come to help. This is good. We wish to form an alliance between our species." Amanda was watching the aliens carefully. She could tell they were very advanced, but something about them made her nervous. "What kind of alliance?" "We have technology that could help humanity explore the galaxy safely," the Zephyrian explained. "In return, we ask only for friendship and cooperation." Ben was studying the alien technology around them. It was incredibly advanced, but he noticed something strange. All of the controls and displays were designed for human hands and eyes. "This equipment looks like it was built for us to use." "We have been studying your species for some time," the Zephyrian admitted. "We wanted to make sure we could communicate and work together effectively." Kelly was scanning the room with her equipment. The energy readings were off the charts. There was something very powerful hidden in this chamber. "How long have you been watching us?" "Long enough to know that humans are a remarkable species," the Zephyrian said. "You have great potential, but you also face many dangers in space. We can help you avoid those dangers." Jake looked at the colonists again. They all stood very still and had the same calm expression on their faces. Even when the alien spoke, they didn't seem surprised or curious. "Peter, can I speak with you privately?" "There's no need for privacy here," Peter replied. "We're all friends." Lieutenant Chris Murphy had been quiet during the conversation. He was watching the colonists carefully and noticed something that bothered him. They all blinked at exactly the same time. When one person moved, the others moved slightly too, as if they were all connected somehow. Sergeant Diana Foster was thinking the same thing. She had seen mind control before during the war on Mars. The colonists were acting like people who had been drugged or hypnotized. "What happened to your ship's engines?" Amanda asked Peter. "Our engineer says they look like they could work." "We decided to stay here," Peter answered. "This planet is perfect for human colonization. Why would we want to leave?" Jake was getting more worried by the minute. The Peter Graham he knew would never abandon his mission to start a colony on the planet Earth had chosen. "Don't you want to contact Earth? Your families must be worried about you." "Our families are here now," Peter said, gesturing to the other colonists. "And soon your families will be here too." The Zephyrian moved closer to Jake. "We hope you will consider our offer of alliance. Your species has much to gain from our friendship." Jake looked around the chamber again. The technology was amazing, and the aliens seemed friendly. But everything felt wrong. The colonists were acting strange, and the whole situation was too convenient. He had the feeling that they had walked into a trap that had been carefully planned for a very long time. Jake and his team returned to the Defiance that night with heavy hearts. The Zephyrians had invited them to stay in the underground facility, but Jake insisted they needed to report back to their ship first. Something about the whole situation felt like a trap, and he wanted his crew to be ready for anything. Back on the ship, Jake called a meeting in the conference room. All the senior officers gathered around the table. The captain looked at each of their faces before speaking. "I think we're in serious trouble," Jake said. "Those colonists aren't acting right. They're too calm, too agreeable. It's like they're not really themselves anymore." Amanda nodded. "I've seen behavior like that before. During the war, enemy agents used mind-control drugs on prisoners. The colonists look exactly like those controlled soldiers did." Dr. Hayes was studying the medical scans he had secretly taken. "I managed to get some readings when I was close to them. There are strange energy patterns in their brains. Something is definitely affecting their minds." Ben was working on his computer, analyzing the alien technology they had seen. "The Zephyrian equipment is incredibly advanced, but I noticed something interesting. Everything follows very logical patterns. It's like their technology can't handle chaos or unexpected changes." Kelly was reviewing her sensor data. "The energy field around this planet is getting stronger. It's starting to affect our ship's systems. Nothing dangerous yet, but I think it's trying to link with our computers." Tyler spoke up from his position near the door. "I've been monitoring our communications. The Zephyrians are sending signals to our ship. They're very subtle, but they're definitely trying to access our systems. Jake felt his stomach tighten. They're not just trying to control the colonists. They want to control us too. Chris Murphy had been thinking about what he saw in the underground chamber. Captain, I think I know how they're controlling people. Did you notice those small devices behind the colonists' ears? They look like some kind of implants. Diana Foster had seen the same thing. The devices were almost invisible, but they were there. I think that's how the aliens are controlling their minds. Dr. Hayes looked up from his medical scanner. That would explain the energy patterns I detected. If they're using some kind of neural implant, it would show up exactly like what I saw. Jake stood up and started pacing around the room. So they lure ships here with fake distress signals, capture the crews, and then use them to lure more ships. It's a perfect trap. Ben was still working on his computer. Captain, I think I found something important. The alien technology is designed to interface with human systems, but it expects humans to behave in predictable ways. It can't adapt when we do something unexpected. What do you mean? Jake asked. Human minds are chaotic, Ben explained. We change our thoughts quickly. We make emotional decisions, and we often do things that don't make logical sense. The alien technology is too rigid to handle that kind of unpredictability. Kelly was studying her readings again. Ben might be right. The energy field around the planet seems confused by our ship's systems. Our computers don't follow the same patterns as the alien technology. Dr. Hayes had an idea. If the neural implants are designed to control predictable minds, maybe they don't work properly on people who resist them. The human brain might be fighting back without the colonists even knowing it. Jake sat back down. That could be our advantage, but we need to figure out how to use it. Amanda was thinking about strategy. We need to contact Earth and warn them about this trap. But we also need to help those colonists if we can. Tyler was working at his station. I can try to send a message to Earth, but the aliens are monitoring our communications. They'll know if I send a normal signal. Ben had another idea. What if we hide our message inside their own communication system? If we make it look like routine data, they might not notice it. Lisa Rodriguez, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. I can work with Tyler to encode a warning message. If we're clever about it, we can make it look like normal ship operations. Jake nodded. Do it, but be careful. If they catch us, we'll lose any advantage we might have. Dr. Hayes was still studying the medical data. I think I might be able to develop something to counteract those neural implants. But I'll need to get closer to one of the colonists to understand how they work. That's dangerous, Amanda warned. If the aliens realize what you're doing, they'll stop us. I have to try, Dr. Hayes said. Those people have been prisoners for 3 years. We can't just leave them like that. Ben was looking at the alien technology scans again. I think there might be a way to turn their own systems against them. If I can figure out how their technology works, maybe I can create some kind of virus that will disrupt their control. Kelly was monitoring the energy field. We need to be careful. The field is getting stronger and it's starting to affect more of our systems. If this continues, we might not be able to leave the planet. Jake felt the weight of command on his shoulders. His crew was depending on him to find a way out of this trap. But he also knew they couldn't abandon the colonists who were being controlled by the aliens. Here's what we're going to do, Jake said. Lisa and Tyler will work on sending a warning to Earth. Ben and Kelly will figure out how to disrupt the alien technology. Dr. Hayes will try to find a way to help the colonists. Amanda and I will go back to the facility and try to gather more information. Chris spoke up. Captain, what if this is exactly what they want? What if they're expecting us to try to rescue the colonists? Jake thought about that. You might be right. But we can't just run away and leave those people behind. We'll have to be smarter than the aliens expect us to be. Diana had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now she had a suggestion. What if we split up? Some of us could act like we're cooperating with the aliens while others work on sabotage. They might not expect us to work on multiple plans at the same time. Ben liked that idea. The alien technology seems to expect single logical approaches to problems. If we attack from several directions at once, it might confuse their systems. Jake looked around the table at his crew. These people had been with him through many dangerous situations, and he trusted them completely. All right, we'll try multiple approaches, but everyone stays in contact and no one takes unnecessary risks. If this plan doesn't work, we'll have to find another way. As the meeting ended, Jake felt both hope and fear. His crew was smart and resourceful, but they were facing an enemy that had been planning this trap for years. The next few days would determine whether humanity's unpredictability would be enough to escape the alien snare. 3 days after Jake's crew started their secret plans, the Earth Defense Fleet arrived at the planet. Admiral Patricia Stone commanded the fleet from her flagship, the UES Vengeance. 5 warships dropped out of hyperspace and immediately surrounded the planet. The Zephyrians had not expected help to arrive so quickly. Lisa and Tyler had successfully sent their warning message to Earth by hiding it in the alien communication system. The message had reached Earth in just 2 days instead of the usual week. The defense fleet had rushed to the rescue with their fastest ships. Admiral Stone contacted the Defiance as soon as the fleet arrived. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Stone. We received your warning about the alien trap. What's your current situation?" Jake was relieved to hear the Admiral's voice. "Admiral, the aliens have been controlling the colonists with neural implants. They're trying to do the same thing to us. We've been working on ways to fight back." "Understood, Captain. We're gonna get you out of there. Stand by for coordinates." But the Zephyrians were not going to let their prisoners escape easily. Crystal Lord Zenthkar, the leader of the alien force, activated the planet's defense systems. Energy weapons rose from hidden locations all over the surface. The beautiful Paradise planet suddenly became a fortress. "Admiral, be careful," Jake warned. "This whole planet is a weapon. They've been planning this trap for years." Admiral Stone watched as the alien weapons targeted her ships, but she had brought Earth's best commanders with her. Fleet Commander Ryan Mitchell was already coordinating the attack plan. "All ships, this is Commander Mitchell. Begin evasive maneuvers and return fire. Don't let them pin you down." The battle began in space while Jake's crew continued their work on the planet's surface. Ben had figured out how to create computer viruses that could attack the alien systems. The Zephyrian technology was advanced, but it couldn't handle the chaotic way that human computer programs worked. Dr. Hayes had made an important discovery about the neural implants. The devices were designed to control orderly, logical minds. But human brains were naturally chaotic and emotional. The implants were actually being damaged by trying to control thoughts that changed too quickly. "The colonists are fighting back without even knowing it," Dr. Hayes explained to Jake over the radio. "Their human nature is stronger than the alien control." Kelly had found a way to disrupt the energy field around the planet using the Defiance's own systems. "Captain, I can create interference patterns that will confuse their sensors. It won't last long, but it might give the fleet an advantage." Jake coordinated with Admiral Stone. "Admiral, we can disrupt their sensor systems for about 10 minutes. Can your ships use that time to attack their main facility?" "Affirmative, Captain. Commander Mitchell is ready to move as soon as you give us the opening." Meanwhile, Chris Murphy had been working on a dangerous mission inside the alien facility. He had pretended to be interested in the Zephyrian technology and let them put a neural implant in his head. But Dr. Hayes had given him a drug that protected his mind from the alien control. Chris was now inside the main control center, pretending to be under alien influence while secretly sabotaging their systems. The Zephyrians thought he was helping them prepare for the battle, but he was actually making their weapons less effective. Diana Foster was leading a team of colonists who had broken free from alien control. Dr. Hayes had found a way to disrupt the neural implants using sound waves at a specific frequency. The freed colonists were angry about being controlled and eager to fight back. "We know where all their weapons are hidden," said Marcus Webb, one of the freed colonists. "We helped build some of them while we were under their control." Nicole Taylor, a biologist from the colony ship, had learned about the alien technology during her time as a prisoner. "They have a weakness. If we can overload their main power core, it will shut down all their systems at once." Jake saw an opportunity. "Can you get us to that power core?" "Yes," Nicole said. "But it's heavily guarded and we'll have to go through the main control center." That's where Chris is, Jake realized. If we coordinate our attack with his sabotage, we might be able to shut them down completely. Admiral Stone's voice came over the radio again. "Captain, we're taking heavy fire up here. Whatever you're planning to do, you need to do it fast." Jake made his decision. "Kelly, start the sensor disruption now. Everyone else, we're going for the power core. This is our only chance." Kelly activated her interference system and the alien sensors went crazy. On the planet's surface, the Zephyrian weapons started firing in random directions. In space, Admiral Stone's ships took advantage of the confusion and attacked the main orbital platforms. Jake led his team and the freed colonists toward the alien control center. Ben's computer viruses were already causing problems with the facility's security systems. Doors opened at the wrong times and defense turrets fired at empty corridors. Dr. Hayes was using his soundwave device to free more colonists as they moved through the facility. Each person they freed joined their growing army of rebels. The humans were fighting back with everything they had. Chris Murphy was still in the control center when Jake's team arrived. He had been slowly damaging the alien systems while pretending to help them. When he saw Jake approaching, he quickly sabotaged the main communication array. "The power core is through that door," Chris pointed. "But Crystal Lord Zenthkar is in there with a squad of guards." Jake looked at his people. Amanda had her weapons ready. Ben carried explosive charges. Dr. Hayes had his medical equipment to help any injured. The colonists carried tools they had taken from the alien facility. "This is it," Jake said. "Once we go through that door, there's no turning back. Are you all ready?" Everyone nodded. They had come too far to give up now. The battle in space was getting worse, and the Zephyrians were preparing to escape with their remaining prisoners. If Jake's team failed, the aliens would just find another planet and set the same trap for the next human ship. Amanda kicked open the door and the final battle began. Crystal Lord Zenthkar stood in front of the massive power core, his crystal body glowing with energy. Around him, other Zephyrians prepared to fight. "You cannot stop us, humans," Zenthkar said in his echoing voice. "We have planned for every possibility." Jake smiled as he raised his weapon. "That's your problem. You planned for logical humans who follow predictable patterns. But we're not logical. We're stubborn, chaotic, and we never give up. That's something you'll never understand." The fight for the power core began, and with it, the final battle for humanity's freedom. The battle in the power core chamber was fierce and chaotic. Crystal Lord Zenthkar moved faster than any human, his crystal body reflecting the energy beams that the humans fired at him. The other Zephyrians fought with weapons that shot bolts of pure light. But the humans had something the aliens didn't expect. Complete unpredictability. Amanda rolled behind a control panel and fired at two Zephyrians, while Ben crawled toward the power core with his explosive charges. Dr. Hayes was helping wounded colonists, while Kelly tried to access the alien computer systems. Jake fought his way toward Zenthkar, dodging energy blasts and using broken machinery as cover. "Your resistance is pointless," Zenthkar called out as he fired at Jake. "We have studied your species for decades. We know how you think and fight." Jake jumped over a fallen piece of equipment and shot back. "If you really knew us, you would have realized that we hate being told what to do. You made one big mistake when you tried to control us." The freed colonists fought with tools and improvised weapons. Marcus Webb used a heavy wrench to smash alien equipment, while Nicole Taylor helped other colonists remove their neural implants. Peter Graham, now free from alien control, was furious about the 3 years he had lost. "I can't believe I was their puppet for so long," Peter said as he helped Ben plant explosives around the power core. "They made me call for help to trap more humans." Chris Murphy was still sabotaging systems from his position near the main computer. The neural implant in his head had stopped working when Dr. Hayes activated the soundwave device. Now he was free to cause as much damage as possible. "Jake, I've locked the Zephyrians out of their own security system," Chris called out. "They can't call for reinforcements or activate their emergency protocols." In space, Admiral Stone's fleet was winning the battle against the alien ships. Commander Mitchell had used the sensor disruption to position his ships perfectly. The Zephyrian vessels were powerful, but they couldn't adapt quickly when the humans changed tactics. "Admiral, the alien ships are trying to escape," Mitchell reported. "Should we pursue them?" "Negative, Commander. Stay in position and make sure none of them get away. We can't let them report back to their empire about what happened here." Back in the power core chamber, Ben had finished placing his explosives. But Zenthkar saw what he was doing and fired a powerful energy blast at the charges. The explosion knocked Ben backward but didn't damage the power core. "You cannot destroy what you do not understand," Zenthkar said. "This technology is beyond your primitive capabilities." Dr. Hayes had been studying the power core while the battle raged around him. He noticed something important about the way energy moved through the crystal structure. "Jake, the power core isn't just a machine. It's alive. It's some kind of crystal creature that they're using as a battery." Jake looked at the massive crystal formation in the center of the chamber. Now that Dr. Hayes mentioned it, he could see that it was breathing slowly. The Zephyrians weren't just using advanced technology. They were enslaving their own people. That's how they control minds, Jake realized. They're using a living crystal to project the control signals. Kelly had managed to access part of the alien computer system. "Captain, if this power core is alive, then maybe we can communicate with it instead of destroying it." Amanda was still fighting 3 Zephyrians near the entrance. "Whatever you're going to do, do it fast. We can't hold them off much longer." Dr. Hayes approached the power core carefully. The crystal creature was enormous, easily 20 feet tall and covered in the same kind of energy patterns he had seen in the controlled colonists' brains. But there was something sad about the way it pulsed. "I think it's a prisoner too," Dr. Hayes said. "The Zephyrians are forcing it to help them control other beings." Jake had an idea. "If we can free it, maybe it will stop helping them." Zenthkar heard Jake's words and became more desperate. "You do not understand what you are doing. That creature is dangerous. We keep it contained for the safety of all." "Like you kept the colonists safe?" Jake shot back. "By controlling their minds and turning them into slaves?" Ben struggled to his feet and checked his remaining explosives. "I have enough charges left to blast open the crystal shell around the creature, but I don't know what will happen when it gets free." Kelly was still working at the computer. "The energy readings are incredible. If we free this creature, it might be able to shut down all the Zephyrian technology on the planet." Diana Foster and her team of colonists had secured the entrance to the chamber. The last few Zephyrian guards were either defeated or retreating, but Zenthkar was still fighting fiercely to protect the power core. "This is our choice," Jake said to his team. "We can try to destroy the power core and maybe escape, or we can try to free the creature and see what happens." Dr. Hayes was scanning the crystal creature with his medical equipment. "It's definitely alive and definitely suffering. I think it wants to be free." Peter Graham spoke up. "After 3 years of being controlled, I vote we free it. No one should be a slave." Jake made the decision. "Ben, place your charges on the crystal shell, not the creature inside. We're going to set it free." Ben moved quickly to place the explosives while Amanda and the others held off Zenthkar. The alien leader was becoming more frantic as he realized what the humans were planning. "You will doom yourselves," Zenthkar warned. "When that creature is free, it will destroy everything in its rage." "Maybe," Jake said. "But at least it will be free to choose." Ben finished placing the charges and everyone took cover behind the strongest equipment they could find. "Charges set. Everyone get down." The explosion was smaller than expected, but it cracked the crystal shell around the creature. Light poured out of the cracks and the whole chamber began to shake. The creature inside the shell was waking up after what might have been centuries of imprisonment. Zenthkar made one last desperate attack, but the freed creature's energy overwhelmed him. The alien leader's crystal body began to crack and he fell to the ground defeated. The creature spoke without words, its thoughts flowing directly into the minds of everyone in the chamber. It was grateful to be free and angry about its long imprisonment, but it was not cruel like its captors. "Thank you," the creature's voice echoed in their minds. "I have been trapped for so long that I had forgotten what freedom felt like." The creature's power flowed through the alien facility, shutting down all the control systems and freeing every remaining prisoner. In space, the Zephyrian ships lost power and drifted helplessly. The trap that was meant to capture humanity had become a prison for the aliens themselves. Jake looked around the chamber at his crew and the freed colonists. They had won, but more importantly, they had freed an innocent being from slavery. That felt like the most human thing they could have done.